Hi everyone, welcome to Wow Stories. I am Ms. Wow. Before we dive into today's episode, let's take a look at a few familiar faces. Bertold Zaharan, a Hungarian male model, Charlie Seam, a renowned British violinist, Rupert Murdoch, the global media mogul, Tony Blair, the former British Prime Minister, and Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia. Now, what do all these men have in common? They're all connected, or rumored to be connected, to one woman, Wendi Deng. Some say she is a winner in life, while others accuse her of chasing fame and fortune at any cost. There are even whispers suggesting she might be a Chinese spy. In a world driven by ambition, few individuals rise to command attention and respect like Wendi Deng. From humble beginnings to the upper echelons of power and influence, her journey is nothing short of extraordinary. Today, we're delving into the life of this controversial figure to unravel the mysteries surrounding her.
In Manhattan, reporters praise Murdoch's wife, Wendi, for taking on a pie-throwing protest.
Nice left, Wendi. Nice left.
您能理解打是亲，骂是爱吗？
Oh, yeah, she's very tough.
Really?
Wendi Deng was born on December 5, 1968 in Jinan, Shandong province of China. She grew up as the third child in a family of four, with two elder sisters and a younger brother. There are numerous rumors surrounding Deng's family background. Some claim that she was born into a poor family where her parents struggled to afford her education. However, the truth is quite different. Her mother, Liu Shuqin, worked as an engineer, while her father, Deng Wenhui, served as the director of a machinery factory. When Deng was young, her family relocated to Suzhou City in Jiangsu province due to her father's job transfer. Despite these changes, the family of six lived comfortably in a three-bedroom apartment provided by her father's company. From a young age, Deng showed a passion for sports, becoming a member of the volleyball team at Suzhou's first middle school. Her classmates described her ambitious, assertive, and resolute in pursuing her goals. In an interview, Deng once shared that though she may not have been the smartest among her siblings, she was certainly the most diligent. While other children were out having fun during their summer and winter breaks, Deng was at home going through the textbooks for the upcoming semester. Throughout her schooling years, she consistently excelled in her classes. For Deng, genius is not 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. It's 1% inspiration and 120% perspiration. During her high school years, her father's job required the family to relocate to Guangzhou. It was there that Deng was accepted into Guangzhou Medical College in 1985 at the age of 17. At that time, gaining admission to college was akin to securing a lifetime of financial and reputational security. Yet Deng harbored grander aspirations. In the midst of Guangzhou's various economic reforms, she was exposed to many progressive ideas and yearned to further broaden her horizons in the United States. However, studying abroad was no easy feat, with hefty tuition fees deterring many aspirants. At this very time in her life, thanks to a fortunate twist of fate, Deng had the fortuitous opportunity to meet an American couple, Mr. Jake and Mrs. Joyce Cherry. Jake Cherry was among the first wave of Americans to work in China following the nation's reforms. He had been invited to assist in the construction of a refrigeration equipment factory. One day, the Cherry's interpreter asked if they would be interested in meeting a young Chinese woman eager to improve her English skills. Just like that, Joyce Cherry became Deng's English tutor. However, not too long after, she had to return to the United States for her children. Her husband Jake remained in China. After a while, perhaps moved by Deng's dedication and aspirations to pursue studies in the United States, or by her other aspects during Deng's third year in Guangzhou Medical College, the Cherrys, particularly Jake Cherry, helped her secure a student visa to enroll in the economics program at California State University by pledging financial support for her until she completes her education. When Deng first arrived in the United States, she stayed with the Cherry family, sharing a bunk bed with their 5-year-old daughter, Kristen. Joyce was soon to realize who she unwittingly let in her home. Not too long after Deng moved in, Joyce discovered provocative photos of Deng in her husband's drawer and noticed her husband's frequent disappearances with Deng, staying out all night. Recognizing the severity of the situation, Joyce issued Deng an eviction notice. Deng moved out of the Cherry residence with Joyce's husband, Jake. Shortly thereafter, the Cherries announced their divorce. In 1990, Deng married Jake Cherry. At the time, she was 22 years old, while Jake Cherry was 53. Their marriage lasted only 2 years and 7 months, just 7 months longer than the duration required for Deng to legally obtain permanent residency status in the United States. According to an article in the Wall Street Journal, Jake Cherry once mentioned to a reporter, "She told me I was a father concept to her, and it would never be anything else," adding, "I loved that girl." Nevertheless, Deng successfully secured legal rights to live in the United States through her first marriage, marking the promising beginning of her extraordinary life journey. Deng's swift divorce was partly driven by a fresh romantic connection encountered shortly after tying the knot. Cherry mentioned in an interview that despite their marriage, they had only lived together for about 4 to 5 months. David Wolf, Deng's new boyfriend at the time, was of similar age and worked at an import-export company. Wolf had basic knowledge of Chinese and a keen interest in Chinese culture. Wolf's youthful good looks complemented Deng well. She even publicly referred to him as her husband, although they never went through with a formal registration. According to Vanity Fair, David and his mother later sponsored Deng's MBA tuition at Yale University. If Wikipedia is to be believed, she began her studies at Yale in 1995, the same year she parted ways with Wolf. Should these accounts prove accurate, then Deng ended the relationship promptly upon receiving the tuition funds. Wolf declined all interviews and avoided discussing the relationship. One of his friends revealed that he was deeply wounded. As for how she got into Yale, it seems to be attributed largely to her exceptional aptitude for learning and adaptability to circumstance. While enrolled at California State University, she formed a project group with 3 of her peers. As recalled by her professor Daniel Blake, this group demonstrated unparalleled excellence in the history of the economics department at the Northridge campus. While at Yale, Deng became acquainted with Olympic gymnast Chen Yongyan, who was also the wife of fellow Olympic gymnastics gold medalist Li Ning. They were roommates, and through Chen's recommendation, Deng secured a position at the Li Ning International Gymnastics and Dance Academy in Chatsworth, Los Angeles. There, she worked as an interpreter for Chinese businessmen and politicians visiting American colleges. This role provided Deng with the opportunity to engage with prominent figures in sports, politics, and business, significantly expanding her horizons. In 1993, Deng graduated from California State University and began working full-time for Li Ning's company. Nevertheless, she didn't grow content with her early achievements and persisted in self-development. While working, she applied for an MBA at Yale Business School and managed to obtain a recommendation letter from Professor Daniel Blake at California State University. In his letter, Professor Blake described Deng as a super student with great focus, and he foresaw that she would play a crucial role in China's process of reform to open up its economy to the outside world. As a result, in 1995, Deng successfully enrolled at Yale. The MBA program at the Yale School of Management requires students to complete an internship in relevant fields before graduating. In May 1996, Deng began her internship at Star TV in Hong Kong. Rumor has it that the process of her securing this position was quite interesting. Upon receiving an interview invitation from Star TV, Deng boldly purchased a first-class ticket and coincidentally sat next to Bruce Churchill, the newly appointed COO of Star TV. Deng took the initiative to engage with Churchill eagerly during the flight. Before the plane even landed and the formal interview process began, she had already secured the internship offer. At the end of 1996, Deng successfully obtained her MBA degree from Yale University and subsequently returned to Star TV as an executive in charge of expanding the Chinese market. The true pivotal moment in her destiny came in 1997 when she crossed paths with media mogul Rupert Murdoch. Hong Kong Star TV, where Deng worked, was a wholly owned subsidiary of the News Corporation, a media conglomerate founded by Murdoch. In other words, Murdoch was Deng's ultimate boss. When it comes to Murdoch, many immediately think of him as a wealthy and elderly womanizer. Yet, his life is a saga of its own. Born in 1931 on a small farm in Melbourne, Australia, Murdoch exhibited academic excellence from a young age, later graduating from Worcester College, Oxford. At 21, he inherited a handful of financially struggling Australian newspapers from his father, marking the commencement of his trailblazing journey in the media industry. Murdoch swiftly realized the allure of sensational headlines paired with scandalous content and soon implemented a transformative strategy to revive the newspapers, famously dubbed the 3S in media circles: sex, scandal, and sport. Employing a mixture of tabloid news, political controversies, and sports updates, Murdoch heightened the appeal of the newspapers with bold and captivating titles. Tragic demise of a beautiful woman at home. Congressman's shocking affair with movie star. This strategy earned Murdoch the alias Godfather of Clickbait. With the surge in sales of his newspapers, Murdoch initiated a series of acquisitions within the media industry. The establishment of News Corporation took place in 1980. This marked the beginning of Murdoch's expansive journey, which has seen him acquire companies not only in Australia, but also in the United Kingdom, the United States, and various other European countries over the past 40 years. Presently, News Corporation holds control over 2/3 of the Australian print media and 40% of the British print media market. Many renowned newspapers, including the Wall Street Journal, the Times, the Daily Mirror, the Daily Telegraph, the Sun, and the New York Post, are under the Murdoch umbrella. The Sun, the British newspaper previously known for its serious political coverage, swiftly transformed into a sensational tabloid following its acquisition. In addition to print media, Murdoch also expanded his presence into the television and film industries. In the mid-1980s, Murdoch took the decisive step of acquiring U.S. citizenship to legally operate a television station in the United States, as U.S. law prohibited non-citizens from owning both American newspapers and television stations simultaneously. In today's global society, controlling the media equates to controlling public opinion. With over half of the world's population being consumers of Murdoch media, he naturally became a distinguished guest among political leaders worldwide. By the year 2000, Murdoch's assets exceeded $5 billion. They have now reached $17.4 billion. Murdoch married his first wife at 25. When he was 36, he became infatuated with 19-year-old Anna Maria Torv, an intern journalist at his newspaper. He promptly divorced his first wife and married Torv. Their marriage endured for over 30 years until Murdoch crossed paths with Deng. There's a widely circulated anecdote surrounding their first meeting known as the red wine incident. Allegedly, during an internal event at Star TV, Murdoch had a glass of red wine accidentally spilled on him by Deng. She promptly apologized in fluent English, introducing herself with, "Hi, I'm Wendi." Supposedly, this caught Murdoch's attention. However, both parties have refuted this version of events. In 2011, Deng and Murdoch made a joint appearance on the CCTV program Dialogue, the only one to date. During the interview, the two said they first met at a company meeting.
哎，这个好像是到目前为止唯一的一个官方的版本啊。这个我们要请邓文迪女士来佐证一下。
是，我耶鲁大学毕业以后在卫视工作，然后他来出差，我们在会议上见的。
At that time, Murdoch's News Corp has already established a dominating presence in both the European and American media markets. He set his sights on entering the media landscape of mainland China. At a company conference held at Star TV, Deng was the sole executive with a mainland Chinese background. Since then, Murdoch frequently brought Deng along as his interpreter on his trips to mainland China. Murdoch was 66 years old when he met Deng. At that time, his wife Torv wished for him to ease up on his career and gradually return to family life to enjoy his later years. However, Murdoch, being a workaholic, declared in an interview that he would never retire.
并没有打算要退休哈。
Do I want to retire? Never, never, never.
The disparity in their understanding of work-life balance led to a growing rift between Murdoch and Anna. Unlike Torv, the younger Deng never urged Murdoch to slow down. She not only became Murdoch's ambassador for entering the Chinese market, but also reignited his long-lost entrepreneurial spirit for conquest. Murdoch himself admitted that being with Deng made him feel 30 years younger. In June 1999, Murdoch and Deng held a lavish yacht wedding, just 17 days after Murdoch finalized his divorce from Torv. Torv received a staggering $1.7 billion in compensation, along with a stringent clause in the divorce agreement stating that if Deng failed to bear Murdoch a child, she would forfeit any right to inherit his assets. At the time of their divorce, Murdoch, approaching 70 years of age, was diagnosed with prostate cancer. Torv was skeptical about Murdoch's prospects of having more children and aimed to secure the lion's share of the Murdoch fortune for her 3 children. However, as the saying goes, The more laws, the more loopholes. Torv had underestimated Deng. In early 2001, after more than a year of marriage to Deng, Murdoch dropped a bombshell announcement his wife was expecting. It emerged that at Deng's suggestion, Murdoch had frozen his sperm before undergoing radiation treatment for prostate cancer. Employing the most cutting-edge IVF technology, Deng conceived successfully. On November 19, 2001, their first daughter Grace was born, followed by their second daughter Chloe in 2003. In doing so, she effectively nullified Torv's divorce agreement. Looking at his two lovely young daughters, Murdoch excitedly declared that all his children, including the young Grace and Chloe, had the potential to succeed him. After having children, Deng's position in the Murdoch family became more secure. However, she wasn't content with being an affluent socialite. Leveraging her husband's connections, she ventured into the business arena and became involved in the operations of News Corp. In 2005, News Corp made a $580 million acquisition of the social networking service website MySpace. By the end of 2006, the launch of MySpace in China saw Deng assuming the role of Chief Strategy Officer. During that period, MySpace's user base and website traffic surpassed that of Yahoo and Google, with Facebook posing little competition. By 2007, MySpace held an 80% share of all social networking site traffic in the United States. However, its downfall soon followed due to News Corp's flawed strategy. The decision to let users independently edit pages and upload content significantly hindered the platform's speed of access. Murdoch's eagerness for monetization led to the inundation of the site with numerous advertisements, resulting in cluttered layouts and slower loading times. In 2011, News Corp sold off the majority of its shares in MySpace, and Deng's involvement with the platform also came to an end. In 2008, Deng, with Florence Sloan, the wife of the president of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer and a Chinese Malaysian, jointly founded an independent film production company called Big Feet Productions. Big Feet acquired the rights to adapt the novel Snowflower and the Secret Fan by Chinese-American author Lisa Kuang into a film of the same name. The star-studded cast included Hugh Jackman, Li Bingbing, Gianna Jun, and Vivian Wu. The movie portrays a poignant and delicate love story between two women with bound feet during the late Qing dynasty, falling under a lesbian genre. Although the storyline was quite novel for mainland Chinese audiences, the film only managed to achieve a modest box office revenue of around $11 million. In comparison to her endeavors as a film producer, Deng excelled in cultivating relationships within affluent social circles and establishing close ties across different industries. Among her inner circle is Anna Wintour, the esteemed editor-in-chief of American Vogue, renowned as a formidable figure of influence in the fashion industry. Each year, Deng is invited as a distinguished guest to the Met Gala, often referred to as the Oscars of fashion. Ivanka Trump and Deng have also been close friends for over a decade, often seen attending shows and events together, even traveling to Croatia in each other's company. Frequently showing each other support across various social media platforms. Deng also shares a personal relationship with Oscar-winning actress Nicole Kidman. Recently, she appeared in a social media video post alongside May Musk. Russian billionaire Roman Abramovich is also among Deng's circle of ties. Tabloids once spotted her boarding Abramovich's yacht with her two children for a getaway to the Caribbean island of St. Bart's. Interestingly, Abramovich had previously gifted this yacht to Russian President Vladimir Putin, sparking rumors about the relationship between Deng and Putin. Well, that's another story. In 2004, Murdoch invested 10 million yuan to acquire a 7-room quadrangle courtyard for Deng located east of the Forbidden City in Beijing. The property features a swimming pool, a simulated golf driving range, and a billiards room. Since then, Deng frequently entertained her friends and celebrities at the residence. Fast forward to 2011, News Corp faced an unprecedented crisis. The turmoil began in 2005 when a publication under its umbrella, News of the World, exposed that Prince William sustained a knee injury. The origin of this news leak could only be traced back to voicemails exchanged between Prince William and his assistant. This raised questions about how the tabloid acquired the news. In 2009, The Guardian received insider revelations from employees at the News of the World, uncovering organized wiretapping practices within the newspaper. As the investigation progressed, authorities found over 4,000 victims, ranging from movie star Hugh Grant to Prime Minister Gordon Brown. The wiretapping scandal severely tarnished Murdoch's media empire. On July 19, 2011, Murdoch was compelled to appear before the British Parliament for a hearing regarding the wiretapping scandal involving News of the World. During the proceedings, Murdoch's son James sat beside him, with Deng seated in the row behind. However, just 2 hours into the hearing, chaos erupted when a man in a plaid shirt suddenly lunged at Murdoch from the public gallery, with a plate of what appeared to be white shaving cream. The incident unfolded so quickly that it left everyone in shock, except for Deng, who retaliated instantly, delivering a hard, open-handed slap on the attacker's face. As the resounding echo reverberated through the room, it became apparent that Deng was indeed an excellent volleyball player in her youth. The moment was caught on camera and featured in the media around the world, instantly thrusting Deng into the spotlight of the hearing. Worldwide netizen discussions supported her decisive and courageous defense of her husband, earning her the title Husband Protector of the Year. This was undoubtedly an unconventional public relations maneuver that may well go down in history. Andrew Butcher, senior spokesperson for News Corp and also Murdoch's personal spokesperson, responded to this saying that her actions completely turned the situation around and added a sense of legitimacy to their marriage. Michael Wolff, the author of Murdoch's biography, commented, "This is our Wendi. She is great, energetic, and intelligent. People replay the slow-motion footage over and over again to see how the brave woman in pink stood out from the crowd." 12 years after marrying into affluence, Deng successfully transformed from a millennial mistress to a Chinese tiger wife, gaining recognition by Western mainstream public opinion. However, some netizens speculate that this entire incident was orchestrated by Deng, suggesting that the assailant was someone she had hired. Otherwise, she wouldn't have reacted so swiftly. Nevertheless, these speculations are irrelevant. What is relevant is that News Corp's stock price surged against the odds that very day, rising by 5%. With her slap, Deng helped her husband turn the tide in his most challenging time. Photos published by the Daily Mail depicted Murdoch and Deng leaving the British Parliament hand in hand after the conclusion of the hearing, with Murdoch appearing to be in a pleasant mood, sporting a smile. At that time, nobody could have predicted that their marriage would come to an end, just 2 years later. On June 13, 2013, Murdoch suddenly filed a divorce application to the Manhattan District Court in New York, citing the reason as an irreparable breakdown in the relationship. At the time of filing, Deng was out with friends and shocked to receive the news. She mentioned feeling completely blindsided and had no inkling that Murdoch would take such action. Later that same year, on November 20th, Murdoch and Deng formally signed their divorce agreement in court, bringing an end to their 14-year-long intergenerational marriage. The divorce proceedings went smoothly without any disputes or confrontations. Upon the judge's review, both parties signed the agreement swiftly. The entire hearing took less than 10 minutes. To top it off, Deng even kissed Murdoch on the cheek, making it perhaps the most harmonious divorce scene the judge had ever witnessed. In the divorce settlement, Deng acquired a 3-story rooftop mansion on Fifth Avenue in Manhattan and a quadrangle courtyard in Beijing, without any shares in Murdoch's businesses. Her 2 daughters have equal shares in the family trust fund, along with Murdoch's other 4 adult children, holding voting rights once they reach adulthood. The Murdoch Family Trust Fund holds a 28.5% stake in News Corp, ensuring financial security for Deng and her daughters post-divorce. Additionally, as per the prenuptial agreement between Murdoch and Deng, she was entitled to receive an annual sum from Murdoch for the duration of their marriage, although the exact amount hasn't been disclosed to the media. A report from Vanity Fair suggested that Deng used these funds to invest in over 20 companies, including Facebook. If these reports are accurate, Deng has likely amassed significant wealth by now. In the numerous theories about the divorce between Murdoch and Deng, the top theory claims that she was unfaithful during the marriage, with the other man being the British former Prime Minister Tony Blair. Blair and Murdoch have been long-term allies in both business and politics. Speculation suggests that Murdoch secured Blair his position as the UK Prime Minister, using his media outlets including The Sun, The Times, and the News of the World, with continuing support for Blair throughout the following decade. On February 19, 2014, Vanity Fair revealed a scandalous excerpt from Deng's diary. "Oh shit, she wrote. Whatever, why I'm so missing Tony. Because he is so charming and his clothes are so good. He has such good body and he has really good legs, and he is slim, tall, and good skin. Pierced blue eyes, which I love. Love his eyes. Also, I love his power on the stage. And what else, and what else, and what else?" How the magazine obtained this diary entry remains unknown. According to its report, initially reluctant, Blair visited the Murdoch residence where Deng showed him considerable hospitality. Upon discovering Murdoch was away on a business trip and wouldn't return until the following night, Blair became visibly flustered. On Sunday, October 7th, 2012, Deng told Murdoch that she would be going to spend the day with her girlfriends at their private farm. On the same day, Murdoch's 103-year-old mother, Elizabeth, had just returned home from the hospital, with limited time left. Nevertheless, Deng still left for the farm. The so-called gathering with girlfriends turned out only to have one friend show up and leave shortly after. Later, Blair arrived at the farm, spending the day with Deng. On April 27, 2013, Deng and Blair met again at the farm, where the staff witnessed them feeding each other and sharing meals. During a break, Blair proceeded straight to the master bedroom and shut the door behind him. Of course, Blair vehemently denied such reports, accusing them of being a deliberate smear campaign orchestrated by competitors of News Corp. Another speculation about the divorce suggests that Deng's dominant personality became increasingly intolerable for Murdoch. On July 18, 2012, the Gawker website published an article titled, "It Was Like a War Zone, a former nanny for Rupert Murdoch, and Wendi Deng speaks out." The nanny, Ying Shu Su, a Chinese woman, was hired to teach Deng's two daughters Mandarin. From her perspective, Deng was a vulgar, petty, and ill-tempered woman who constantly spoke rudely. Everyone who worked in the Murdoch household, from chefs to secretaries, hated or feared her. She created an atmosphere resembling a battlefield in their home, filled with her screaming. Deng not only scolded the household staff, but also Murdoch, who was usually quiet and reserved. In 2004 at Christmas, a heated argument erupted between Deng and Murdoch about the allocation of his assets after his death. Deng insisted that her two daughters should have equal stakes in the family trust as Murdoch's other children. In the end, it appears that Deng won this battle. These photos reveal the transformation in Deng post-marriage. In the early stages of their marriage, she was often seen leaning close to Murdoch, appearing shy and girlish. Over time, her presence became stronger, at times even overshadowing Murdoch himself. It's said that Deng had a strained relationship with her mother-in-law. Elizabeth favored her previous daughter-in-law Torv and considered her son's divorce from her a terrible thing. Murdoch and Deng also had significant disagreements in the education of their children. While Murdoch wanted them to have a carefree upbringing, Deng followed the same strict parenting approach as detailed in the book, Battle Hymn of the Tiger Mother, by Yale professor Amy Chua. This meant achieving straight A's in academics, while also not missing out on participation in extracurricular activities like sports, music, and art. Of course, some hold different opinions regarding the relationship between Deng and Murdoch, arguing that Murdoch, in his advanced age, was actually the more ruthless one in their marriage. The third theory regarding their divorce suggests that Murdoch's waning affection for Deng stemmed from the disappointing performance and setbacks experienced by News Corp in the Chinese market. Some have even suggested that Murdoch's marriage to Deng was merely a maneuver to expand into the Chinese market. With the failure of this endeavor, there was no need for him to continue this marriage. After the divorce, Deng was even briefly suspected as a Chinese spy. In early 2017, U.S. counterintelligence officials cautioned Jared Kushner, senior advisor to then-President Trump and his son-in-law, that Deng might be leveraging her close ties with him and Ivanka Trump to further the agenda of the Chinese government. They found Deng advocating for a $100 million construction project funded by the Chinese government, a project which was flagged by U.S. authorities as a national security threat, because the tower to be erected was less than 5 miles from the White House, raising fears of potential surveillance activities. Shortly thereafter, biographer Michael Wolff once again took to Twitter, claiming, "Since their divorce, Murdoch has been telling anybody who would listen that Wendi is a Chinese spy, and had been throughout the marriage." It's worth noting that Michael Wolff, who previously portrayed Deng in a positive light after the wiretapping hearing debacle, now made this assertion. Quite the change in tune. On her part, Deng, of course, refuted these baseless allegations, asserting she has never engaged in lobbying for Chinese ventures. Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump also emphasized that their friendship with Deng is purely personal and unrelated to politics or China. In 2016, rumors emerged of Deng being involved with Russian President Vladimir Putin. After Deng and her 2 children were photographed on March 28, 2016, boarding the yacht of Russian billionaire Roman Abramovich for a vacation on the Caribbean island of St. Bart's. Abramovich, a close friend of Putin, had previously gifted the yacht to the Russian president. A few days later, on March 31st, U.S. Weekly magazine broke a major story claiming that Deng and Putin had been romantically involved since their respective divorces in 2013 and 2014. The magazine claimed to have interviewed a key figure close to Putin, confirming that both the White House and the Kremlin were aware of the relationship as early as 2014. The sensational nature of the news led to a flurry of coverage by various media outlets like The Mirror, The Daily Mail, and Vanity Fair. However, the Kremlin swiftly denied the rumors, stating they were entirely false. Regardless of the truth behind this, Deng stands out as possibly the only woman in the world bold enough to have rumored romantic associations with Putin, truly a master in the art of courting affluence. Following her divorce, Deng was frequently seen in the company of various men, among them British violinist Charlie Seam, known as the youngest university professor in the UK, and teaches at the Leeds Conservatoire. Seam is 18 years younger than Deng, and the two were photographed hand-in-hand at Paris Fashion Week. She was also associated with Hungarian male model Bertold Zahoran, 27 years her junior. After that, she was seen with a mysterious, attractive young man on the beach. Perhaps as she reached middle age, like her ex-husband, Deng has come to appreciate the joys of being with younger partners. In 2019, Murdoch sold 21st Century Fox to Disney for $71 billion. As a result, the 6 children in the Murdoch family trust, including Deng's 2 daughters, each received $2 billion in Disney stock. Deng's efforts to fight for her daughter's inheritance rights had truly paid off. After all that has been said, it's apparent that Deng is a multifaceted and complicated individual, making it challenging to form a definitive judgment about her. Undoubtedly, she has strived to advance throughout her life, demonstrating adept networking skills, strong abilities to adapt and learn, and maintaining clear goals and distinctive qualities. Nevertheless, her rise to power has been fraught with controversy. How do you perceive Wendi Deng? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section below. That's all for today. I'll see you in the next video.